Simões bending one for Torres. Eusebio. Oh my word! Have you ever seen anything like that?
Bem jogado por Simão, a passar por dois adversários, Simão, a tentar oferecer o golo a Figo, e a bola é golo! O golo de Figo!
Rui Costa já acreditou, vai tirar para o golo, atira, golo! 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 Cristiano Ronaldo, vai embora Cristiano Ronaldo, Chuta! Gol!
And we are live, episode number 93 of the Seleção podcast, a proud partner of Portugal.net and Palma Media. My name is Danny Pinto. I am your host. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on Nuno C. Sad day indeed, brother. Sad day indeed. It just was not meant to be. It just was not meant to be, guys. And it sucks. There's going to be a lot to talk about in terms of what is next and what should happen next. But just not meant to be. Not meant to be today. I've gone through my my stages of grieving. Probably not all the way there yet. But yeah, it's disappointing because this team, I think, is capable of so much more. And if you want to go with we were the better team today, I would agree with that wholeheartedly, I think. But where we lack is in spine. And it's not the spine of the players, it's the spine of the head coach, the manager. And I firmly believe that Roberto Martínez cost this national team an opportunity to go to the semifinals, perhaps win this whole thing. And we'll get into the comments. I want you guys to, I put it out on the, on Twitter. Let me see if I can pause it here. Nope, that's not what I want. I want you guys to be in studio with me today. I want you guys to get in and talk to me, not just in the chat, but actually like directly to me. Like I want, and Nathan, I see Nathan Motz there. Nathan, let me just get to one guy or guy or gal. Sorry, don't know the difference here. I've never seen the name before, but I want to bring in Kadima. Let's see if Kadima is here. Kadima, can you hear me? And if you can, please unmute yourself. If not, we'll go back to you in a second. Kadima going once. Kadima going twice. Kadima, just stay on hold. We'll go ahead and we'll get you on here, but let me bring Nathan Motz here. Nathan, I don't know if you caught what I said at the beginning. First of all, thanks for making time. I know you're traveling. A lot of people's schedules are what they are. It's their schedules. They don't count out to this podcast. I just put out feelers and I try to get as many of the folks that have been helpful throughout this tournament, and I appreciate Nathan for sure. But Nathan, what are your thoughts on not so much what we saw today, but what we saw in this tournament? Well, again, today and what we saw in this tournament.
Yeah, I echo the sentiments. Having not proceeded all the way through the grief process yet, it's rough. It's rough watching us lose, man. It doesn't get easier. You know, I wish it did. Opportunity missed. Questionable managerial decisions. You know, questionable tactics at various points. It was kind of all there. Lots of stories, lots to mull over as we think about what we're going to do now. You know, I think that's the next stage. In fact, after we finally accept this, we're going to have to find some way to see some sort of silver lining, hopefully, and build on this. Lots of chatter about Cristiano. Hope we get to get into that. Lots of chatter about the young guys, young players in this team, and also some positive points, some good performances today. I hope we can point out, as we unfortunately lost a close match to a France team that appears to have studied what Portugal did to them in 2016 very carefully.
They might be doing it better.
Employing the same tactics. Oh yeah,
it seems like they're doing 2016 better than we've ever done it. It's unbelievable.
It's something, actually with you have a team with Kylian Mbappe, Antoine Griezmann, some of the Ousmane Dembele, who was sensational when he came on today, and you haven't scored a goal from open play. That takes some doing.
It's so hard because it's nothing that France. I don't want to get. They pulled a 2016 Portugal masterclass out of their ass today, and throughout this tournament. And the reason why I'm as frustrated as I am is that we've done this before. Eric Krakauer is famous for saying on this podcast, I've seen this movie before. The kowtowing to Cristiano Ronaldo. And I'm sorry, we're going to talk about Ronaldo because he is a focal point here. And the reason why he's a focal point is Fernand Santos kowtowed to him up until the very end when he benched him for the Swiss game. And then we saw Gonçalo Ramos score the hat trick. Did not start him again against Morocco, and then brought him on later. Do you know how many minutes Cristiano Ronaldo played under Roberto Martínez in this Euro? I know you don't have the numbers in front of you, but it's more rhetorical because I'm about to bring it up. Cristiano Ronaldo played 400.
All but about 20 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
He played 486 of a possible 510. That's not great, especially when you're not performing. And again, I'm not one of these. Like, I saw you have a discussion. Well, maybe not so much a discussion, but just Zach Lowe's been on this podcast a couple of times. He used the word worthless when it came to Cristiano Ronaldo today in his tweet. And again, that's another guy who is there for clicks, in my opinion. I'm sorry. Because Cristiano Ronaldo is not worthless. What he has been is kowtowed, placated to, and not managed. Had he been managed, Nathan, all this, like him coming off the bench would not be a big deal. Him only playing 60 minutes would not be a big deal if the FPF had enough balls to say to Fernand Santos, or when they hired Roberto Martínez, you have the reins here. If you think that Ronaldo is not an effective player, take him off. I've never had any problem with Cristiano Ronaldo being part of this national team. The problem I have with him, and it showed throughout this entire tournament, is that Roberto Martínez was afraid to say no or to say that's enough. And that's okay to tell him that. Yeah. He came in and when he was hired, Roberto Martínez says, "We have a plethora of talent. We can go 35, 40 deep." Then why is Gonçalo Ramos only playing one game off the bench against Georgia for 24 minutes? Why did Diogo Jota not figure out why can you figure out a way to get Diogo Jota on the field? More than, let me see, Jota played 97 minutes out of a possible 510. Did not play today against France. For me, I'm going to say this very carefully. I don't think now is the time to experiment with Ronaldo playing less minutes or coming off the bench. I think now is the time to say goodbye. Because if this had been managed earlier, not at 39, but at 35, 36, this wouldn't be as big a deal as it is now. And this is on the FPF, and this is on Roberto Martínez, because Roberto Martínez had no ties to this federation at all. He could have put his own stamp on this team if he wanted to, and he decided no. Let's go with Ronaldo up front. And again, up front for you want to start him, fine. But the fact that he was never managed is the reason why we're in this situation now. Sorry, nothing. I had to get the soapbox going here.
No, I hear that, and hopefully I'm coming through okay. There's a little bit of
you're cutting in and out, but you're fine, man.
I just want to say, for all listening to, or all who will watch this later as well, everybody knows I supported Ronaldo being the starting striker in this tournament, and my feelings were that he would be managed a little bit more than he was. That is what I had expected, and when it became clear that he wasn't, maybe it would have been helpful. Maybe it wouldn't have for me and others to be a little more critical of that. I'm not sure. I do think that it was pretty bad as the matches wore on, and it became pretty obvious that Ronaldo was becoming more and more desperate to score, that we needed to substitute him out, as we did in the match against Georgia, and see if we could get some of the looks on the pitch, but we didn't do that against Slovenia. I think that hurt us. It definitely hurt us tonight, and that is definitely something that I would put on Roberto Martínez. But I still get the sense that watching the players that were meant to perform in this tournament, the younger guys, and just seeing how they did. Rafael Leao was poor in this tournament until just, that maybe bits and pieces in the match against Slovenia, and then tonight against France, he was pretty good. Jota barely got any time. He should have got more time. Ramos should have got more time. Joao Felix came on, missed a good chance, and clanked a PK off the post. I still don't have the confidence going forward of what we're going to do when we move on from Ronaldo, which I agree with you. And I just want to say it is time. Ronaldo has given everything. He deserves all the respect in the world. But I hope he retires after this tournament. I hope he looks back on what he's done and says to himself, I don't need to score now one more goal. I don't need one more trophy. I don't need one more opponent's player's jersey hanging in my closet. It doesn't matter anymore. I can walk away from this game knowing I've given it everything, and it has. Now we need to find a solution. And what is that solution? My point is, I still have no idea yet.
And that's the problem, is that none of us really have the idea. And there's a lot of people in the chat saying that, it's money. I mean, how much more money does the FPF need to squeeze out of Cristiano Ronaldo? For me, it's like this to me, even as critical as I am right now of Roberto, because to me, again, I don't blame Ronaldo. Ronaldo is a superstar, is an absolute superstar. And I mean, he's not going to well, he should, because Kylian Mbappe did today. He should tell Roberto Martínez, listen, man, it ain't working today. And as much as I don't want to come off, let's try to get one of these young guys in. He could have done that. He chose not to. Roberto Martínez could have just told him, hey, go ahead.
No, I agree with you. And I think that's my frustration too, is there is accountability for Ronaldo in the sense that you, as desperately as you want to score, and it's your last Euros, and we all saw the tears, in the previous match, when we missed the penalty, you have to have some ability to look at yourself and say, I'm not able to do what I once did, and not just this tournament either, even looking back to the last tournament, when Ronaldo was clearly starting to fade. There was an argument to be made there that his time needed to be managed a lot more carefully. That's never happened, whether that's the FPF or whether it's management. I think, having written the book on Portuguese national team history, we've seen these issues in tournaments past where certain players, either from certain clubs or certain backgrounds, are favored, by either by management or by certain powerful groups that can influence the FPF. And so this is not a new phenomenon that has caused the Seleção some tournament pain, right? And it is very sad that it's Cristiano that's involved with that. But I do hope this can be instructional, at least moving forward, to not let it happen again.
There's an interesting comment here. I just wanted to see if I could pull on. The comments are kind of going so fast. Give me 1 second. Well, here's one from Muad'Dib. Must be nice to be on this team and be able to hide behind all the Ronaldo blame. Well, I mean, Ronaldo is he's the lightning rod for all this, as much as we don't want it to be. But here's the question. I try to write it as carefully as I could, Nathan, and I always respect your opinion, and I think you can maybe even take it maybe a different way here. But Ronaldo has definitely put Portugal on the footballing map, without question. But is it fair to ask if he's hampered its evolvement as a footballing nation?
No, I think it's fair to ask that whether that's possible. That's such a hard thing to say. I think we're all going to look back on this very differently in a few years, is what I think. That's kind of the preface that I'll give. I think Ronaldo leaving this national team will create some surprises. I wrote a tweet recently about that. We're going to get surprised one way or the other when Ronaldo leaves. We're either going to be amazed at how well this
and it's going to suck
without him, or or we'll be astonished by how much this group is struggling without him. I don't know what it's going to be, and honestly, I'm okay with that. I think either way, it's good that we find out. But I wouldn't agree with the post that it must be nice to hide behind the Ronaldo blame, because Ronaldo does deserve some blame. He was on the pitch. He deserves that. I'm going to be writing the player ratings tomorrow for Portugal.net, and I'm just going to, spoiler alert, he's not going to get a very good score from me. He didn't play well. But it's not going to be a situation either where I'm going to say, because that man was on the pitch, we lost to France, right? I'm not going to say
I agree.
Vitinha missed chances. And both of those players, by the way, were good. They will get good ratings from me, but they missed chances. So I'm not going to look at it as like it's this guy or that guy, and not even Joao Felix, who missed a penalty. I'm not going to look at that and say that man.
I'm not either.
He didn't.
It's he had skied it.
Be a matter of
yeah,
sure.
It's a matter of inches on that one. If he had done what Baggio did in the final of '94, where he skies it over the goal, that's one thing. He beats the French keeper there. He just misses it by, I would say, 2-3 inches. Here's the comment. Here's the comment I was looking for. Go ahead.
Okay. Now I'm reading this comment now, and I think this kind of transitions into the next point that I'm going to make, is that anytime we want to critique Portugal, we want to include Ronaldo, but we also have to understand that even a player, even when Ronaldo was in his prime, he still required good players around him to function properly. I'm looking back, like Euro 2012, for example, when Ronaldo was just a beast. He had scored something like 55 goals that season for Real Madrid. He still required that incredible through ball from Joao Pereira down the right against the Netherlands to score the opening goal, right? He still required later in that match an unbelievable cross from the right wing after a counterattack from Luis Nani to be in position to score the winning goal. And that's to take nothing away from Ronaldo, but I'm not going to be unfair. The front line does need to be critiqued. There needs to be someone take some ownership other than Ronaldo. Ronaldo didn't get it done today, but neither did anyone else, and that's why we went to penalties and we lost, and that's football.
Yeah. A comment here from Eddie Pegas. I'm saying that right, Eddie. If I'm not, I apologize. But he says Ronaldo has not hampered Portugal's development. It's on other players. Ramos to put up some consistent goals for his club. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. There are players, and not Suns comes to mind, where it always seemed that he always played his best when he had a Seleção shirt. I'm not saying that is the same thing for Gonçalo Ramos, because to be very honest, the sample size is still very small with him. But there has to be a time where you have to figure out if you do or not. And again, and I said it's going to suck. It is going to suck when he's gone. As critical as I am right now, it's going to suck when he's gone, because it tells me that we're never going to see this dude put on a Portugal shirt again. And that isn't what I want in theory. What I wanted did not happen, and I just don't think it can happen now at 39, where his role is now diminished a bit. It should have happened before. I think now it's just too late. So
yeah, I agree.
I don't know. It's just
that
it's such a conundrum.
That's a really important. It is, but it's an important part of this conversation. I'm thankful to the commenter for raising that point. Look, the availability is wide open for any one of our young starlets to make this their Seleção, to step in and say, this is now my Seleção. It was Ronaldo's and Pepe's. Now it's mine. Hasn't happened.
Pepe.
Andre Silva a few years ago broke the Frankfurt Eintracht Frankfurt scoring record. He scored 28 goals in a Bundesliga season, broke the record, and fell off the face of the planet. We've been waiting for Portuguese players to translate club success to the team and to do it consistently. And I was so looking forward to a player doing that before this tournament. It never happened. And that's why I was advocating Ronaldo to start, because we just didn't see anyone step up and do it. So someone is going to have to put in some extraordinary performances and earn it before it becomes very clear we have an option moving forward.
Yeah, it's I think I had a nice conversation with myself before deciding to do the show today. And I'm like, do I need to let the feelings kind of be the feelings today, and then come back tomorrow, get everybody on? To me, I don't know if I would be feeling any different tomorrow. It's such a roller coaster right now, because there's a lot of unknown just based on will they be back or not. And when I say they, I say Ronaldo. And listen, if Pepe was going to be back, he would have said it. I think the fact that he, after the match, said, today is not the day to talk about my future or tell what I'm going to be. I think in his heart of hearts, I think he probably played his last match in a Seleção shirt. And every time, Nathan, I'm thinking he can't do it again. Maybe he shouldn't start, given that he's 41, 120 minutes against or 110 minutes, I should say, against Slovenia. Another 120 today, fighting until the very end. I've never seen a player like him in a Portugal shirt, with just the absolute determination to always do the right thing. It seems he's screwed up plenty of times, but it's always like it's the love he has for this shirt, for not being born in the country, is another thing. It's like, I think my criticism of Ronaldo is going to kind of shade my feeling for him when he's gone. I am going to miss him, but God damn it, when Pep is out for good, that is going to be a hole in our entire squad, not just the defense, that I think is going to be felt for the very immediate future, because that safety net now in the back is gone. And him crying today, a big hug from Ronaldo at the end. You just kind of think it's over for Pep as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's impossible to imagine him coming back. Certainly not in the form that he was in this tournament. And I was surprised how well he played. I really was, and I shouldn't be. I feel almost ashamed saying that. But
Me
Pep
too.
he's just such a. I mean, it for even doubting him, I felt kind of bad about myself. But it was just an amazement watching him today. Get beat the way he did by Marcus Thuram, and then come back and put in a crunching challenge in the penalty area and get it just right. Just a classic, Pep performance, just really extraordinary. And I agree with you. It's going to be almost impossible to replace him. Ruben Diaz put in a pretty fine shift himself today, but when you look at what Pepe does for this team, there's no replacing that. Ronaldo and Pepe are leaving. They're leaving this team, and we need to accept that. And that's going to require a lot of players to play above themselves.
Yeah, and it's not, and it. I think the number one thing for me is like it should not be a 1-for-1 now replacement, right? This should be a collective that kind of takes the reins, like the next in line, the baton, whatever it is. It shouldn't have to just fall on Ruben Dias. It shouldn't have to fall just on Gonçalo Ramos or Diogo Jota. It should be a collective. That should be the next phase of this Seleção, is that Ronaldo was the star for 20 friggin' years. We will never see that again. 20 years of stardom, we'll never see that again. That doesn't mean that the next person has to do that. There shouldn't have to be a next one. There should be a collective of guys ready to go. Now, do we have that? As you mentioned, Nathan, we don't know yet. But I don't think it has to. Yeah. There does not have to be a 1-for-1 here at all. Go ahead. You were about to. I think you were about to say something.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I broke up there again. Yeah, I agree, but I want to be hopeful too. Let's talk about the guys. I've been critical of like Leao and Felix and Ramos, Jota. Them. I do think that the players that were on the pitch today in particular deserve credit for putting in what I thought was a very competent display against France, and France who have shown that they are going to be a very defensive first team. They're not going to be creative. They're not going to be adventurous. This match didn't go at all like I thought. And Leao put in his best match of the tournament. Really happy to see how he kind of recovered from a rough, first two matches, and being suspended in the final group stage match, and I think that, and Vitinha was just excellent again today. That there's so much confidence, at least in central midfield forward. Even if the front three isn't sorted, just the fact that he's on the pitch actually makes me kind of feel good. A little bit like João Vitinha in a way. It just gives you that kind of like the kind of calm feeling. Oh, Vitinha's there. He's gonna get the ball forward. So I think who's going to score the goals? We're going to have to figure that out. And I agree. It's not going to be one guy. It's going to be a collective, and we're just going to have to figure out the right combo going forward.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get to some of these comments here, and I'm sure I'm going to get them like out of order here. There's just so many. Let me get to where are we at here? Well, you know what? I'll go to another thing I tweeted in my emotions. So I personally think that the way Roberto Martínez managed in this tournament. Again, I'm gonna get in my emotions. You guys can kill me in the comments. I don't care. He didn't play. Well, let me see if I can do some quick math here. 121 and 97. That's roughly about 220, 300 and 3. So we're looking at let's say the average here is a total of, so the four players here that I'm looking at, Pedro Neto, Jota, João Felix, and Gonçalo Ramos. They played roughly 340 minutes between them in this tournament. Ronaldo played 486. I think maybe in someone who I really don't see eye to eye with a lot when it comes to his critiques of Portugal, Alexi Lawless, on the Fox broadcast here in the States. He said if it had been anybody else but Cristiano Ronaldo, he would have been subbed out for one of these other guys. And I completely agree. Now, my tweet that I got in my emotions was this. The FPF, I think, is the number one person to blame. We can't get rid of the federation. Then we don't have a Seleção, and that'll make me even more sad, and I'll have to quit the podcast. I don't want that. They took too long on Fernando Santos. I think Fernando Santos probably lasted at a minimum one tournament too much, maybe two, with the Euros in 2021. They placated to Ronaldo and continue to do so even at his advancing age, and then they ended up hiring a manager who, for all the talk about depth and flexibility, just continued to play Ronaldo as if there was no one else on the bench. So to me, given the talent that we have, I don't think we can afford to screw around with Roberto Martínez for another 2-year cycle, because his contract is through the World Cup. For all the money that this federation has apparently made off of Ronaldo shirts, they could probably eat $8 million US and just pay off Roberto Martínez. I think the man who could turn this whole thing around would be Sergio Conceição, and I'll tell you why. We've talked ad nauseum during this tournament with Eric Krakauer as my catalyst for this one here, and even you, Eric. I mean, even you, Nathan. Sorry, the Michelob Ultras are now flowing a little bit. It's water, basically. It's hot. It's 108 degrees in Elk Grove, California, at 7:35 in the morning, or 7:30 at night. It's been a day. Yeah, and I've got like 4 more days of this. I digress.
Wow.
The 2000 team, and specifically that England game, is what I keep referring back to. And they were down 2-0, and they didn't blink. They didn't work. They didn't pucker up. They didn't get work. They continued to go forward. They continued to attack. They continued to assert themselves in the game and got a transcendent victory in the history of this federation. Now, to that the opposite side of that. Did they ever win anything on the senior level? No, they did not. But with the talent that we have now, I think a guy like Sergio Conceição, who has done the most with the least out of the top 3 in the last 8-9 years in the Portuguese league, I think he is by far the best coach, or was by far the best coach in the Portuguese league, and was the best coach in the Portuguese league hands down for the last 4 or 5 years. Ruben Amorim is a great coach, but he's got a job right now. For right now, Sergio Conceição is available. And we talked about it last episode, Nathan. I'm just afraid of missing out on an opportunity that this collective talent is capable of doing. And I don't think Roberto Martínez is the man who should be pulling the strings to get the most out of this talent, based solely on him not, for lack of a better term, having the balls to make tough decisions. What do you think?
Yeah, I think largely I'll frame my answer like this. I don't think the FPF are going to get rid of him. I
don't think so either. I don't think so either.
But I don't know if that's an option. But to your point about whether he's the right man to lead us into the World Cup, I mean, man, since he was hired, there were question marks. There were question marks all through qualifying when we were blowing teams away. I remember the first time we struggled was against Slovakia. You remember that match? It was in Bratislava. We went out. Yeah,
was it the one? It was a 1-0. Which was the 1-0 victory? I think on the road. It could have been Iceland.
No. I think the 3-2 against Slovakia is the one I'm thinking. That may have come later. Bottom line is we struggled with that team in a way that gave me some indication the tactics were soft. There was no identity. It was just clever arrangement of players on the pitch, and that's not really what you need with the national team. You need, like you alluded to earlier, you need a spine. You need there to be some central idea or theme around which, you know, the team is constructed. I don't know if Sergio Conceição would be, you know, I all your points are valid. I do think he would give us some clear structure. I don't think Martinez is the guy. The only reason I'm not beating the war drum right now with him is because I think we have so many other problems, namely losing Ronaldo and Pepe, but also the fact that we have to find some way to inspire this young generation to perform under difficult circumstances. You know, I think the mental strength, frailty, that we're showing that when we get behind, when we encounter arduous circumstances, this group of players is not performing like we would hope. And so I think that's kind of first and foremost. Can Martinez inspire that? Probably not, but he's what we have, and I think he's what we're going to have in the USA, Canada, Mexico too in 2 years.
Well, that's if we qualify. So, you know, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. And you know, I want to. Muad'Dib also with a good comment here. Oh nope, not down. God, the comments are going so fast. Give me a second. I'm trying to catch up. There it is. Portugal needs to fire the corner kick coach. Well, yeah, set piece is not the greatest thing in this tournament at all for Portugal. I think the number one thing, or not the number one thing too, but you know, 3 straight matches, no goals. That's alarming. We saw 36 in qualifying. Obviously, the talent that we're playing against much better in terms of quality. It's a different environment when you're playing tournament football, but that's alarming considering that in two knockout games, you're probably best 11 started, like best combination maybe started, and yet 0 goals against Slovenia, had to go to PKs. 0 goals against France, had to go to PKs, and ultimately lost. So there's got to be something there. And I also want to just put out in the chat, and you guys can answer it, because I don't think I can put a poll here in the. For all the things that I'm trying to do with this video medium, there's still stuff I just don't know. Do you think, I'm gonna have Nathan out of the equation here, do you guys think that I am being too hard on Cristiano Ronaldo? Just put yes or just put no. And I'll take whatever your answer is, because this is one of the reasons why I like doing this, is because I want to have what I saw from I'm going to bring him up again because I just kind of want to set the what I don't want. Zach Lowy was way out of line, in my opinion, in how he described Ronaldo. I'm willing to have a conversation respectfully on his effectiveness, non-effectiveness, whatever it is. I want to have that conversation. But I can sometimes, with my emotion, given that, again, I'm no journalist, I'm just a fan with a podcast. But my emotion can get a little out of hand sometimes. And again, it's one of the reasons why I kind of weighed whether I was going to do the podcast today or not. So, yeah, I just want to know if you guys think I'm being too hard on Ronaldo. I like what Paulo was saying here. And you know what? I need to be harder. No, I don't. We've got, I think if I had to guess, it's probably around 50-50 right now, maybe leaning a little bit towards no. I can't count everything at the same time here, but I'm confused on this one. Yes, totally justified. I don't know if I'm being, does that mean I am being too hard, or I'm not being hard enough, Austin? Your vote is going to be kind of up in the air there, so I don't know, but I don't know. It's just, I think more than anything, Nathan, it just sucks that we're out. And I think the emotion of that is probably what weighs the most, is that it sucks that we're out. That we can all agree on.
Yep.
I'm sure.
That's why that's why I'm writing my player ratings article tomorrow, man, because I can't do it today. I won't be able to process rightly what happened. You know, if I get in there now, it's going to be all emotion. I'm not going to be able to analyze and evaluate. You know, these are rational assessments I have to make. You know, I love writing because it's very technical, and anyone who's familiar with my writing knows that I'm trying to approach things with a clear head, and I can't do that today. I'm upset too. You know, I'm upset about all the comments made about Ronaldo one way and the other. I'm upset at myself in certain ways for certain opinions that I may have had, which have in some cases have been proven very wrong. You know, there's all of that going on right now, and we're out. You know, and it's part of every tournament. I remember, man, there's been some bad ones, man. There've been some really, 2014 World Cup. That was a bad one. Everyone got injured in one tournament. Ronaldo was injured. You know, that we had the Pepe getting red carded, lost 4-0 to Germany in the opening match. When we got knocked out, you know, that was hard. We got grouped. You know, we got knocked out in the group phase. That was tough. You know, it was difficult. My goodness, in 2022, you know, losing to Morocco, that was painful.
Yeah.
You know? So it's difficult in those moments to recover from that and begin to talk about things which are, you know, right now we're kind of in a different state of mind, you know, just kind of ramped up and ready to kind of quarrel with each other. That's kind of how the energy in the chat room, I'm sure. And I wanted to make a point about Zach Lowe. You know, I have respect for his work. I just want to be very clear for anyone reading my comments on Twitter or whatever. I respect his work on Twitter. I don't have as much respect for the denigration of an all-time great.
Maybe
Ronaldo
that's it.
Is an all-time great player and deserves to be treated like all the rest. Maradona, Pele, Messi, Zidane, Cruyff, all of them legends, deserve respect. Put some respect on
Hammer
and have some shame if you won't, right? And you can still criticize them too and make, you know, again, rational critiques. Hey, he shouldn't have been on the pitch as much as he was. Totally agree. But some of the comments you can read the emotion coming through, and it's vile. It's resentment porn is what it's resentment.
Yeah, the term
porn,
worthless. The term worthless was used. Yeah, the term worthless was used, and I'm sorry, he's not worthless.
Yeah, that's just not right. And
no.
And I the thing I love about Portugal.net the most, why I've just loved the culture of the writers, you know, the editor Tom and everyone, is we don't do hit pieces. You know, I've done a few pieces where I've pointed out some unfair critiques made about Ronaldo. We don't do hit pieces. We don't slander people. We're not a soap opera generating outlet. We don't do any of that. We're not in that business. We don't do resentment porn. We do thought pieces. We do bona fide coverage of the sport that we love through the lens of the English-speaking world, and it's love of Portuguese football. And that's the beauty in that, is we don't need to get into all this nonsense about talking bad about people and making it this giving it this life it doesn't need. I don't have any respect for that type of journalism, and I'm okay with saying that.
Here's a comment that kind of covers what we are trying to have in terms of a conversation. It's from Isabella. Our front three was just not effective enough. Ronaldo's old. Leon has no finishing product. Bernard Silva serves no threat on the right wing, and Bruno had a pretty underwhelming tournament. What that is a take that I can have a discussion with. I can have a discussion about, because at no point is it disrespectful.
Yeah.
If you guys think I'm coming off as disrespectful,
Absolutely.
That's your opinion. I don't think I am. What I am is frustrated. Now, my tone, hell, the tone in Zach Lowe's tweet, probably all wrong. Maybe the word choice, probably all wrong. But there maybe some merit to where he's coming from, perhaps. But it's all about how you phrase it. It's all about how you present it. So for me, it's, you can say the same. You and I could say the same thing. But if I'm just hollering over here, but yet a sensible comment like Isabella's right now presents that, yeah, it's more than just Ronaldo. Yeah, like Leon was a terror on the wing, but that finishing product, once it left his foot to try to get into the box, more times than not was not effective. You know, Bernard Silva on the right wing for the majority of this tournament just wasn't it. Although I thought he played very well in the knockout phases than he did in the group stages. Bruno Fernandes was subbed out today. And honestly, I was like, okay, you move Bernard Silva into the middle. I mean, that was an easy kind of like, so it's like, Eric, we're going to get to you in a moment, dude. I see you there. I think it's okay to criticize, but I always think that there's going to be people that defend Ronaldo no matter what. And I guess it's up to me on how I decide on how I present my criticism without sounding like it's coming off as vitriolic. Someone who's just full of vitriol all the time and just always mad all the time. Here's Eric Vieira.
I was going to say, I came at the perfect time. I feel like Roberto Martínez, late sub, brought in just for penalties. So we'll see how I do with my vitriol. But I think I came in at the right part of the conversation, because I think a lot of what we saw as someone who's maybe online, maybe a little too much, is just a lot of the hate that was, headed Ronaldo's way. It just seemed really, to use some of your words, just vitriolic and mean-spirited. And I think
it's easy.
Yeah, and that's something that it's difficult for me as a Portuguese American and as a son of immigrants who's proud of their culture and proud of rooting for Portugal, to see. I understand teams have rivals, and you don't like your rivals and you go against it, but it just seemed like it's, when we talk about, to Nathan's point, Zidane and Maradona and Pele, they don't have the amount of hate and the vitriol that goes behind it. So to me, it's almost shocking. Like, what did he do to everyone that makes everyone so upset? And so the part that I kind of live in between is the nuance that not everything is so black and white. I think he does, Ronaldo does deserve criticism for his tournament. And I think the end result wasn't there. And that's a fair, like you said, we can have that discussion. We can have that critique. Is it time to move on from Ronaldo? Is it time, to think about super subs? That's the conversation that we can have. But to say it was all a waste, it was all for nothing, and have everyone celebrating at his failures, I think that's the part that really kind of probably made me the most sad today. You only get, the older you get, you realize, time is finite, and you only get so many Euros and so many World Cups. And so that's always the saddest part as a supporter, to go out. It's like, these only come around every 4 years. So whenever your country gets knocked out, it hurts and it makes you a little bit sad. But to see the piling on top of it, it seems to compound what was already, kind of a sad situation and a sad farewell from a performance where the players outside of Ronaldo, I think today they put up a good fight against a very good French team, and they really gave it.
Eric, they were the better team.
They really desered something out of that, and they took a France team that was in a World Cup final. They took them all the way to the end.
Eric, you just used a word that I don't like.
Okay,
deserve. You deserve
what you get.
What happens? It was not stolen from them.
Correct.
They played better, but they didn't score the goal that they need to score before PKs. And then João Felix had the unfortunate luck of hitting the post. Portugal deserved what they got today. If they would have deserved to win, they would have won. So go ahead.
Yeah, and also, to be fair, France had a couple opportunities when you think about Camavinga's shot that went just wide and Kolo Muani's shot. The ball could have bounced a different direction, and they could have been out even before it got to penalties. So France had their chances as well. So that's not to take anything away from the French team, but just you thought they played well, and they were just missing that final touch, that final piece that was going to put them over the edge. So it was a rough watch towards the end there.
I'm gonna put up a comment here that we can all agree with. Man, people just hate abs. I get it. I don't have them.
Classic.
Yeah. I'd like to end the show on that. No, but it's just, it's. I think a lot of with Ronaldo, a lot of it is self-inflicted. A lot of it is media-driven. He's one of the greatest players of all time, and it's just a crazy combination of all that leads to. I think he's going to be revered when the time has come. You know, I think these last 18 months or so should not and will not be the definition of his legacy. His legacy in this game is by far cemented by leaps and bounds. Is it ending the way that I would have hoped? No, but that's not gonna for me anyway. It's not gonna shade the way I look at him in terms of his career, in terms of what he's again. He put this team on the map. After 2000, when that golden generation had the run that they did, we missed the World Cup in 20. We had the terrible World Cup in 2002, and you started seeing the change in a few of the newer guys coming through, and Ronaldo was part of that. And for everything I've said, the ability to be around 20 years later and still be considered, at the very least, a threat on the field, not worthless, is a huge credit to him. It's a credit to him because, I think Messi may be the most gifted player I've ever seen. I think it's between him and Ronaldinho in terms of just what they could do with the ball at their feet. But I've never seen a dude as determined and as always available. He doesn't get hurt, guys. He's never been out for like 6 months, 8 months. They always say availability is the best ability or whatever. I think I'm probably screwing that up, but I mean, he has been always there and available for us whenever we've needed him. I just think the way that we should have needed him and managed him the last year and a half, 2 years should have been different than what we've done. And I think now it's just too late to now try to get to that part. At 39, he said this is his last Euros. Are we going to see him in 26 when he's 41? I have my doubts, but Jesus, I mean, he's the Tom Brady of soccer. He keeps himself in such tremendous shape and is always available. I mean, I think he's probably done with the national team, but in terms of just being fit and available, he would. I think he might make an appearance in California or Texas or the Six or Boston, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see him. I don't think we're going to see him in 26 personally, but that for me depends almost less on Ronaldo than it does on all the people who want to replace him. They need to play better football and come into this squad and make it their own, and we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. It needs to happen. There's time for, layout to figure out how to make a proper cross or how about this? Put a shot on target. How many shots on target did Leao register in this tournament? You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's beaten defenders. He's had some link up play with Mendes, who outplayed him, frankly, throughout the tournament, in my opinion. But shots on target. We need someone who can test the keeper. Ronaldo has been the guy. No one's doing that. We need someone who can do that. Shots on target has the strongest correlation to win percentage among attacking features. We need someone who can hit the frame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Eric.
I was going to say that's part of the discussion, on with Ronaldo being the center focus is, and I'm not sure if you guys already discussed this, but who else is going to take over and take that away from Ronaldo? Because no one else really made that available. You mentioned with Leao, I really liked everything that he brought. It was just that final piece. And it was, almost a little bit, I mentioned it before the tournament, and they met with a few eye rolls just because of the situation. But I mentioned they will go as far as Ronaldo will take them. And we kind of saw where they took them because the other pieces just were not, that finishing piece wasn't there. And I mentioned some of that PTSD that we may still have with having tons of possession, but nothing to show for it. They even mentioned it on the broadcast a little bit, that it seems if they wanted to score a goal a specific type of way, instead of, to Nathan's point, putting a shot on target, getting a bounce, getting a, something to happen, putting it, as they like to say, put it in the mixer and then things will get going. And it just seemed like they wanted to, pass the ball into the net, where sometimes when you look at what, maybe France was giving them, is with how strong they were with kind of blocking that, protecting their box. Sometimes you do need to find other ways around that. And sometimes that is, testing the keeper from outside, the box and finding a shot on target. And no one else seemed brave enough either to take those chances. And as much as I liked Vitinha and what he brought, I thought there were so many opportunities where he's right there, and an opportunity where there are so many players from around the world who you've seen take shots from just outside that 18-yard box, that arch. He's right there in that position, and he looks for the pass to the wing, or he looks to try to thread the needle. And I think that is something that they need to look for, and someone needs to step up and take over.
There's a few stats, like while you were talking, Eric. You mentioned possession. Today it was 60-40 in favor of the Seleção. In terms of shot attempts, though, 20-15 in favor of France. I don't think they have shots on goal, 5-4 in favor of France. So, and I had a point here, but it was possession in favor of Portugal, not getting goals, having to go the crosses today. I believe there were 23 crosses. You guys know how many connected? 1. And they kept doing it. No, it's better than 0 for 23. But I mean, they just kept going to the wings and kept going to the wings and kept going to the wings. And the best 2 chances that we had were through the middle. And it's like, you don't have to go.
Yeah.
You just don't have to go it's not all or nothing, whether it's like going out or going through the middle here. It's you got to have a combination. But if something isn't working, you got to figure it out. And I thought like this game was going to be one of those games that, because both teams had been struggling offensively, this could have been like a 3-2, 4-3 game where all of a sudden it just clicked for both nations, and then they put on the show of shows. But I mean, France could not get anything going offensively for the most part, and it's almost like they invited Portugal to try to beat them with crosses and going through the middle. And that's a game that France is willing to play, because the final third for Portugal in this tournament was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. And that's just not on Ronaldo. That's on the front 3. That's on a very subpar tournament for Bruno Fernandes. Not terrible, but just very questionable timing and questionable subs by Roberto Martínez. I know it's not just on Ronaldo.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, I do know that. But I mean, it sucks because they played so much better than France. They were just the better team today, but they did not deserve it today. Just didn't do it. Let me go. Go ahead. I'll go through some of the comments and you go ahead.
I'll just push back slightly that's not all on Ronaldo, but I think some of it is. We saw with what he was playing, he was really conserving his energy, because it felt like whatever conversations he had with Roberto Martínez or whatever deal was struck, that he was going to play the entirety of the game. And so he was conserving his energy. So he found himself offside. He, wasn't checking back in. And so I think he's part of the front 3. So when we're saying that, the front 3 wasn't getting it done in terms of getting those opportunities, Ronaldo is part of that conversation. And he did. That's what raises the eyebrows is, Gonçalo Ramos, I know, was he the answer? Well, we don't know. We didn't see enough of him. Diogo Jota, was he someone who would have played a little bit differently, brought a different dynamic? We don't know. We didn't see enough minutes from him. So that's really the part. It's a shame, because you could tell that Ronaldo was not, this obviously wasn't prime Ronaldo, and it showed. I think that lack of effort was the frustrating piece, is because it was very obvious to anyone watching that game that he was saving his energy to make sure that he played the full 90 or the full 120 to make sure he had his moments, when those penalties came.
Yeah. And Nathan, I want to get your thoughts on this. The players that I mentioned before that are not so much the replacements for Ronaldo, but could have been used in a substitution. Pedro Net played 3 minutes. Played 3 matches. Obviously, 1 big minute against Czechia that turned the match around and got us the 3 points when both he and Chico Seleção came in. Diogo Jota did not play today against France. João Felix only played 15 minutes against France today in the last 15 minutes of the extra time. Pedro Neto did. I want to go back to Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto did not play at all in these knockout games, and then Gonçalo Ramos only played 24 minutes total in this tournament. So, yeah, I agree that the three up top, the front three, whatever you want to call them, it's not just Ronaldo there, but you also had guys that could have had an opportunity if given the opportunity for an ineffective, not only Cristiano Ronaldo, but an ineffective Bernardo Silva for the most part, an ineffective Rafael Leão that I think as the games got further along, shockingly, a little bit out of gas. So it goes back to question, should he have been a guy that comes off the bench with Sheik and with Pedro Neto to just have speed coming off the bench? It's you damned if you do, damned if you don't, I guess. But yeah, Nathan, I don't know. It's what do you make of all of everything I just said there?
What I'll add is after the Republic of Ireland friendly, it seems like Ronaldo was the choice to start. And I said as much. Then we go into the match against Czechia, and we start that crazed formation with three fullbacks. It's a 3-5-2, or I don't even know what it is. Nobody knows what it is.
We'll always have that in this term.
Yeah, and Ronaldo didn't play well in that match, but nobody really did. So we really didn't get a lot of data from that about whether Ronaldo was right or not. We didn't. It's like, okay, well, let's just change the formation first and see what we can do against Turkey. So we changed the formation to a 4-3-3, and Ronaldo's pretty good against Turkey, in my opinion. That's his best match of the tournament. He's decent. He gets the assist for Bruno, and he has some decent length of play, and he's okay. So now we're into the last game. Ronaldo should not be playing against Georgia. That was a big mistake. If he did play, it should have been substitute time. We should have given someone else a run out there. We didn't do that. I agree with I think Eric Krakauer was on here and was like that was like one of the biggest mistakes we made in tournament. I agree that was a mistake. Then we roll into the match against Slovenia. It's pretty clear Ronaldo is like a madman trying to score. I mean, just the glint in his eye is just crazed the whole game. I've never seen him like that, even though I have seen him very desperate to score. And it was pretty clear he wasn't his composed self. I think there was an opportunity to get him out of the match and put someone on maybe as early as the 65th, 70th minute, to get him out. And then you come into the France game, and I think this was his worst game of the tournament, in my opinion. And he deserved to sit, and it didn't happen. And so we missed opportunities not only to play better potentially as the tournament wore on, but to see just to what extent Martinez's tactics were really to blame versus Ronaldo leading the line. Now we don't really know, you know what I'm saying? Because there was so much happening there in the group stage with Martinez putting out these bizarre formations, playing against Georgia, again, another weird looking 3-5-2, it hurt us, and I'm disappointed. Final takeaways about Ronaldo for me: he should have played less. He didn't have a good tournament. I hope he retires, and he is one of the greatest of all time. Put some respect on his name, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Nathan, appreciate you joining us today, man. I know you're traveling a lot. I would say that's a nice little capper for you, bud.
Absolutely.
I don't think I could have said anything better.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. And I'm going to call it a night. I actually think I want to watch this show after I've had some time to calm down, see what Eric has to say. But I just wanted to say that everyone also read all the articles on Portugal.net and support us on the podcast. And this has been a pleasure. It's always a joy to interact with everyone. And I want to thank you, Danny, for having me on. And it's just it's sad, but we're going to get through it. And I'll be looking forward to the Nations League matches coming up here in a few months.
Woo!
Woo! Nathan's League, baby.
Appreciate all you do, Nathan.
Nathan, I appreciate you being such. Yep. Hey, thank you for being such a great part of this tournament because, without you, I think we learned a little less. I think we are a little less educated on kind of the ins and outs of what may be going on with the team. I always appreciate your time, always appreciate your thoughts, and I'm glad you were able to be on the pod as many times as you were during the tournament because I really value what you say and what you bring to the table. So all the best to you, safe travels, and looking forward to Nations League and talking to you about Nations League, Nathan.
Absolutely. Thanks, Danny. And you take it easy, Eric, and everyone. Love you guys. See y'all.
All right, man. Take care. Force it, bud. Oh, my God. Eric, 3 games with no goals. It's, yeah. Hey, can someone update me on what's going on with Canada?
Someone's saying Eustáquio must have trained with Felix, so that's not a good...
Oh,
a lot of hope.
He must have either he hit the post. I'm guessing he hit the post, but I appreciate you coming on too. I know I threw it out at the last second here. I was telling everyone, and I don't know if you heard this part or not, but I was weighing whether I was going to be doing the pod today or tomorrow because I'm so in my feelings right now. Yeah. It's not even funny. I don't know if I would have, and I told myself, I don't know if I'm going to feel the same way I feel tomorrow. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I just figured today's going to be the day because I wanted to get this Band-Aid and just rip it off. And I wanted to talk to the people as raw as I could because I think we all feel a certain way about certain players, and I feel a certain way about Cristiano right now. If I take a step back in a few days and weeks to come, maybe my criticism may not be as quote unquote harsh as some people may think. Maybe it'd be the same. I don't know. But I just felt that the longer I was going to wait to do this pod today, the less engaged the fan base of this national team would be. And I just kind of wanted to get everyone in on as much as I could. Folks, you guys can get in here if you want. Just tell me if you want, and I get you right in. Eric did. Eric just bolted right in.
I wasn't even invited. Yeah, but I think you bring up a good point on waiting to do this. Going back with more perspective and looking at, and I think there's a time and a place for that, and I think we can all go back. But I also think there's a value in coming in raw, and I think you see the people in the chat appreciating it, and I think there's something cathartic about just letting it all out, those first thoughts, everything that's coming out and letting that loose and letting that fly. And also, just letting everyone know it's okay to be sad. You can be sad and you spend a day to be sad.
I tell my kids that all the time. Yeah.
You hear that all the time.
They're not sad all the time. I don't want to, I'm a good parent.
What are you doing to your kids? But, but I think people say, well, how can you let a sports team control your emotions for the day? And that's part of fandom. That's part of what it is, and it's what makes the winning so sweet, but it's also what makes the losing hurt so much. And I think that's all part of it. And so kudos to you for putting it on and coming out and letting it loose, because I think a lot of what I heard, joining a little bit late and reading what I'm seeing online, I think it's a lot of it's valid, for what we're saying, the frustration of, being happy with where this Portugal team went, but also being disappointed knowing that there may have been a different level, or with the ball bouncing a different way, or with the substitution of our captain, the game's turning out just a little bit differently. And I think that's valid as well. That's why I'm a huge believer in that nuance, because yes, we can be happy. Hey, we made it to a quarterfinal. We had a good showing, to an extent, but also there could have been more against France, and we could have tested our mettle even more against Spain. And I think that's just how everyone's feeling right now. And I think it's totally fair.
Yeah. This picture got, man, I think because I am as critical as I am of Ronaldo, I look at this picture and all I want to do is just cry.
Mm-hmm. What a game from him.
God. And he's just been such a soldier for this national team. And lest we forget, and let's do a little history lesson here. 2014 against Germany, opening match in the tournament in Brazil. He gets a red card, and I would say everybody's like, "Get this guy out of here!" And
his reputation was at its peak. Also,
oh yeah, he was prime Pep at that point. And it's so funny because even during today's match, he wears his heart on his sleeve, even if he does sometimes do things that he shouldn't be doing. I'm like, dude, I don't remember him doing anything in the last 10 years that wasn't like, okay, but yeah, like he's going to be, and both of them are going to be, obviously, but it just, I don't know, it hits different with me with Pep just because he doesn't have to be as emotional as he was, like, just naturally, right? Because he wasn't born here or here. He wasn't, he's not a naturally born Portuguese person. He comes from it by playing as many years as he did in Portugal, playing for Porto, and being from Brazil, and it just,
to me, he's Portuguese. He wears the crest.
He's more Portuguese than
he's very
some
much there.
people I know.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me even a little uneasy just making those qualifiers, because to give that warrior spirit and to defend, the colors for how he did it, it really, that one is going to hurt. And it reminds me, I don't know how off the rails we want to go, but we were mentioning how.
Let's get off the rails, man. Hey, listen, this is going to be the last show for this podcast for a long time until Nations League.
I think it was mentioned, I don't know if you or Nathan mentioned it, that we will appreciate them more later on. It reminds me, there's some wrestling on in the background of my house. It reminds me of Roman Reigns. I feel like CR7 is like a Roman Reigns character where he was so hated and people hated him that now when he's gone, and for those of us who are with us, playing the wrestling heel,
we want Ronaldo.
That when he's gone, you look back and you say, I hated that guy, but he did exactly what he was supposed to do, which was, in that case, make you hate him. And I think that's probably the situation with Ronaldo, where there's probably a lot of hate right now and a lot of frustration. But I think people will look back a year removed, 2 years removed, 5 years down the line and say, man, look, in those video clips are going to live on and the highlight reels are going to live on. You'll say, what a time to be alive. We got to live through that. We really got to see Pep and Ronaldo in their primes. And I think people will appreciate it later on. Right now, in the moment, it's harder, but I think it's definitely something that we'll appreciate later on.
Hey, but my
wrestling connection.
Can I get you something to drink? I have the cooler from 4th of July right here.
I'm staying fresh here. Yeah.
Oh, well. In honor of good old America, I have had a couple of these, so Also, hey, you know what? Someone proposed to me today. Not marriage, obviously. I'm very happily married. But someone proposed to me, like, hey, straight swap Roberto for Greg Berhalter.
No, yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say no on that.
Yeah, I'll become Canadian. Where are my Canadian people at?
Okay, did Canada win? I'm guessing they did. Again, put it in the chat. And I'm trying not to mess up too much with the electronics in the house. I don't know if you heard. I don't know if you heard, Eric. It's gonna be 100 forever in my part of California, buddy. It's we're going on our 4th or 5th straight day of like at least 105, and we're going I think another 4 or 5 days after that. So
sometimes
yeah,
wishing you the best.
Yeah.
Wishing you AC. Enjoy. As someone, this is coming from someone living in North Texas who broke a record over 100-day streak last summer. So I've been there. I hear you. So that's something where I know exactly the feeling. And when you're in the thick of it, just wishing you well. Keep those waters flowing. Yeah,
we bought a pool for the children, for the kids, and I've been going in the 10-foot wide, about 2.5 foot tall pool, just every day, just to sit and just think about stuff for the show, and trying to figure out life without Ronaldo and Pep and all that stuff. Yeah. So I just whatever. What's Adriano Fernandez? Are you asking me or Eric or both what the humidity is like where we're at? I don't have humidity in Yeah, Eric's a native Californian. We never really had humidity. Is it dry? Is it dry in Texas where you're at in North Texas?
It's humid. Yeah, we get our thunderstorms and all that fun piece. So it's you taste it when you go outside for sure.
You taste it. Oh man. Well, as I think, and yeah, Adriano Fernandez was asking us both. Yeah, we don't get the humidity. Eric does with Texas. So there's your weather update for today. I want to leave with this. One, I want to thank Eric Vieta sincerely because, and as I mentioned to Nathan when he came on, I ask you guys sometimes very last second. I don't know your guys' schedule. I just throw it out there, and you guys, for better or for worse, have showed up for this pod throughout the tournament. So I am eternally grateful to guys like you and Nathan and Eric, also Michael Teixeira, who popped in for an episode during the tournament. I had a conversation with Matthew Marshall of Portugal.net yesterday as we previewed today's match. I actually had we had a long conversation, my wife and I, and as sad as I am that Portugal is not playing anymore, honestly, what makes me just as sad is that I'm going to be taking a bit of a break from this pod because unless something huge breaks, which could happen in the next few days, maybe with Pepe, maybe with Cristiano Ronaldo, but there's likely that I'm going to be away from the pod for, I would say, a few weeks, maybe a few months until we start playing some matches that matter again. And as much time as this kind of takes away from my home life, not from my work life.
Don't get fired.
But, yeah, no kidding. But and actually, no, it does not impact my work life. That's just me being funny. I'm going to miss interacting with people on a daily basis, on a continuous basis, because this tournament, more than any other tournament since I've done the podcast, has brought the community aspect of why I started this pod. We don't have to agree on everything. I think for the most part, this has been a very respectful environment for everyone's thoughts, everyone's ideas, for everyone's discussion about this team. And that's also something that I appreciate. So it sucks that it's over for this tournament. Obviously, we will be back. Paul Miguel, Danny, why not do a Euro wrap-up after the final? I told my wife, I don't want to fake it. I love football. I'll watch the semis. I'll watch the final. I just don't have the passion for it if it's not on my forearm, if it's not on my chest, if it's not hanging behind me, if it's not crocheted on that blanket there. I might, but I really think that doing it today kind of gives me that rip off the Band-Aid. All right, It's over for now. But I just greatly appreciate everybody. I just greatly appreciate everybody liking what I like, and being a part of this. It's
why you do it.
Yeah, I had a similar experience with my oldest today that we did when Portugal lost in the quarters in the World Cup, and as soon as the last goal went in for France in the PKs, waterworks started for him. I'm holding both him and my youngest, and my youngest still 6. He kind of gets it, kind of doesn't. And it's like, I couldn't be sad again. And I think I said this after the World Cup. I couldn't be sad first.
Yeah.
I had to let them be sad and be there for them. And that kind of almost eased it a little bit. But as this podcast got going today, my feelings started generating a little bit. So, yeah. Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say kudos to you, and I know we won't circle each other too much here, but just
nice, thanks.
To see
it's Friday night though.
Just to see, this is why I always appreciate the invite, because the joke I always make, and whether I've done some other podcasts as well, is just, I do this anyway. I'm going to talk Portuguese soccer. I'm going to talk about our Seleção. I'm going to have these conversations anyway. So why not have it in a forum where people are going to hopefully, hear what we're saying and either latch onto it or get upset and angry and yell at their, whatever they're listening through or at their YouTube screens or type it in the chat. Because I think that's part of I've seen this comment pop up quite a bit as well. That's the therapy of it all, is talking through it. You experience it live as someone who enjoys listening to podcasts, being able to go back and now, okay, let me hear what someone else thought. And hopefully, you providing this forum, and bringing guys like Nathan and bring Michael Teixeira and Eric Krakauer and Matthew Marshall, all these different perspectives, which are so valuable, and having a one-stop shop for them all. I think that's been fantastic. And you're right. It's not, it's sad that they lost the game, but the sad part is, we're not going to be able to fire up the mics for a semifinal or to continue this elation, for another couple weeks. We're going to have to hold our breath for the Nations League 24-25, League A, all the magic that's going to come with that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Never forget, guys, sou de Portugal, eu sou. Para todo lado eu vou. Só para te ver ganhar. And it wasn't today. That sucks. But I'm also appreciative that we have a new song.
We got a good song out of it. Yeah, that's
so good. It's so good.
It's fantastic.
I didn't want to. I was. God damn it! I was so ready to start the show today. If we had won, just going. So
yeah.
Portugal, so. But
I don't know if that's been the atmosphere also in the stadium.
Oh my God!
Fans were loud and clear. You could hear that song crisply through the audio. You could tell the fan support that was there. So you have to shout that out.
Yeah, Portuguese colored glasses here. I paid attention most obviously to the Portugal matches. I will put our fans at those stadiums up against anybody's throughout the tournament, and I would include Germany because
Turkey's had a good showing.
Well. Turkey. Yeah, well, come on, what are we doing? Yeah, but
still
hearing but still, absolutely. But yeah, hearing the fans and everything throughout the matches for our team was unbelievable. So. Anyway, man, I think again, thank you to you. Thank you to Eric Krakauer, to Nathan Motz, to Michael Teixeira, to Matthew Marshall. I may try to get the godfather of this whole thing, Tom Cundert. Geez, almost forgot his name. On here as kind of like a wrap up of the tournament. But yeah, for right now, I think we're gonna go ahead and say adeus. On this podcast. And again, I greatly appreciate everybody on here. I appreciate everybody's opinions. I don't have to agree with everybody's opinions, but I appreciate you guys expressing them. I appreciate the camaraderie that we have built on social media, especially on X, on Twitter, because that's where the majority of our correspondence with one another has happened. But I'm definitely sad, but I'm so happy to see how this thing has grown, especially in this tournament. And I want you guys all back with me when it's time for Nations League, when it's time for World Cup qualifying, and when the Hammer and I are backpacking through the United States in 2026, and Mexico and Toronto, as we follow the team match by match. Our wives don't know this yet,
but done.
Yeah, but we're gonna do it. We're absolutely gonna do it. Eric, all the best to you, brother. I really appreciate all the time.
I appreciate you, Danny.
Yeah, and we will we'll talk again soon, bud. All right. Thank you very much to Eric Vieira, the Portuguese Hammer, the Texas Tuga, for joining us here on the live pod, episode 93. Thank you to Nathan Motz for making time for us today as well. But most importantly, thank you to all of you. Muito obrigado a vocês for making this pod as fun, as interactive, as crazy as it has been these last few weeks. So for Eric Krakauer, Nathan Motz, and Eric Vieira, and Michael Teixeira, and everybody, just Força Portugal, and we will see you guys next time. Ciao, adeus, love you guys, thank you. Força Portugal!